Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful day in America. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us on another live stream of the Great America Show. We appreciate any time you guys spend with us. So let's have a great show tonight. We'll take your comments, questions, concerns towards the end of the show. We try to get to your shout-outs. Everyone tuning in on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you guys are tuned in from, let us know where you're joining us from tonight on this beautiful evening in America. We begin tonight. The Marxist Dems are in disarray once again. Donald Trump has them trembling, as they should be. We've lived in fear for the last 4 years as the Gestapo of the Biden administration came and targeted every single American, parents, for freedom of speech, for anything. But what are the Marxist Dems in disarray about tonight? I guess the obvious answer is Jimmy Kimmel being canned. The truth of the matter is, folks, words have consequences. That's what the Democrats have told us for years. We watched Fox News fire Lou Dobbs. We watched Fox News fire Tucker Carlson, as others were allowed to stay, and not a peep. The left cheered it. They thought it was great. It was great for democracy. But the truth of the matter is Lou Dobbs and Tucker Carlson were canceled from Fox News for speaking out about a stolen election. Why would you be canceled about that? Unless, of course, there was some sort of hidden interest by a part, maybe on Fox News' part. But now that Jimmy Kimmel has been canceled for a legitimate reason, I mean, you think about it. This man has been spewing lies and hate in the Americans' bones and blood for 10 years now against Donald Trump. I can't think of any person in my lifetime who's ever pissed me off, who I've spent more than maybe 5 or 10 minutes thinking about. Think about it. This man for 10 years has been living with Trump derangement syndrome to the next level, speaking about him almost every single day. That's not normal. That's sick. And he was catering to an audience of a very few. Look at the ratings over the last 10 years for late night television. It's not just Kimmel. We watch what happened to Colbert because of his ratings. But for 10 years in decline, because people don't want to hear it. People turn on comedy shows to laugh. They don't turn on comedy shows to hear the same nonsense every single night. Donald Trump did this. Donald Trump did that. Donald Trump is orange. Donald Trump's a narcissist. Donald Trump's a xenophobe. Donald Trump did. I mean, it was just night after night after night after night. And what did we slowly see? We saw Greg Gutfeld, who went up against these shows, do better than them, outperform their demographic numbers, outperform their total ratings numbers, and we watched them slowly start to decline because people had it. There's a certain amount of people out there, I think, who have Trump derangement syndrome, who hide behind their computers and go on these online forums and air out their concerns. But then I do think there are some people who don't like Trump who just live their lives, as we all did with Joe Biden. You didn't like him. He's president. Get over it. Grow up and get over it and deal with it. And you know what? Go out and vote the next election to ensure your candidate wins. But the faction of the people who have Trump derangement syndrome, it is sick. And I think it's psychological. And I think it's probably for some people to the point where they belong in mental institutions. I mean, it's gotten so far and bad out of control that I think we've gotten to that point. So Jimmy Kimmel, now that he's fired, wants to act like he's a saint, that he's done nothing wrong. Now, we didn't have all the time today to pull all of Jimmy Kimmel's clips of him being a lowlife scum, but we've got a few. Take, for example, him cheering on violence against Tesla and Elon Musk just a few months ago.
Our co-president, Elon Musk, sent a SpaceX vehicle to bring the astronauts back, and when they landed, he fired them immediately upon landing. Tesla stock is way down, almost disastrously so. People have been vandalizing Tesla vehicles, new Tesla vehicles. Please don't vandalize. Don't ever vandalize Tesla vehicles. And so,
I mean, that was so cute there, right, on his part. Very, very cute of you, Jimmy Kimmel, subtly calling for the violence of Tesla dealerships. Like people were fooled. But that's just one example of his hatred that he's been spewing for the last 10 years against anyone who supports Donald Trump. People are tired of it. They don't want to hear about it anymore. They want to live their lives like normal people. But of course, Jimmy Kimmel and company doesn't want to allow them to. Now, we're going to talk about all the people that are melting down today and some of the most high-profile people in America. But the ABC's The View, another ABC channel that's probably on the precipice of being canceled, not for what they spew, not the hatred they spew every day, but for their lies and deceit. And we're going to tell you the difference between ABC tonight, CBS, and Fox News, and the carrier licenses that each of them possess to be able to talk about certain things. But the ABC, The View, today going right back to their toxic TV, and they address what they're calling the elephant in the room, and they say they're screwed. Now, if you did nothing wrong, you should have nothing to worry about, but they think they're screwed. Take a listen.
People involved in the public deserve to know.
I feel as though. Take a breath. Take a deep breath. Take a breath. Joy, take a breath.
I feel like we're trapped in a bad movie.
Yeah.
Like you've got these incompetent people running the government, and we're like a bunch of sitting ducks. You've got the puppy killer. You've got the Signal Kate guy. What's his name? Headset.
No.
You've got the brainworm. You've got, I mean, there's no end to the incompetency that we are experiencing as Americans.
Yeah.
So that I can almost not even talk about individual situations like this, because the overall picture and the elephant in the room is that we're screwed.
Well, Alyssa, oh, sorry.
No, we're not screwed.
I know you say that every day, but I feel
say
like
I say it every day, and yet we are still standing.
Just
we are
barely.
still, but we're up. Listen, lots of us have been down. We know what down is. It takes a lot to ruin a country. It takes a lot to ruin a country, because people wake up and they start to go, you know what? I don't like what I'm seeing.
Well, it's only since January. Look at this. I mean, he's got another 3 years to go.
Well, I don't know what we've got, except that I'm pretty sure that the people are taking care of the business at hand for them. If they're in need of something, they're going to neighbors. If they want books or they want information, they don't have to go to the library. They can go to next door neighbors and get the information. People are making changes and adapting in a situation that is meant for us to give up. It's put out there. It is put out that they are doing things to grind us down. And I see people bending, but I don't see anybody breaking. I don't see people breaking, and that is what gives me the strength to keep standing, because, you know, they come for us all the time. Yeah. But we're standing, and we're still here, and God bless the Constitution. She's holding. I don't know for how long, but she has not broken yet.
Yes, holding.
So that's why I remain, because if I make a decision that says this is not handleable, what's the alternative?
Yeah, that's
what is the alternative?
My good friend Mark Mitchell posted on Twitter last night, how much longer does The View have? And my joke was, they'll stay as long as Whoopi's chair holds up. When that last chair goes, she's out of there. Some of the things that she had said there, and of course, Joy Behar, I can't stand her accent that she's got. But Whoopi says, we come for them all the time, meaning us on the right. I don't talk about these idiots unless they say something stupid. They take up not a scintilla of anything in my brain. I wake up and I don't even know they're alive. The only time I talk about them is when they're doing something stupid, which happens to be more often than not, and we don't talk about it every single time. Donald Trump doesn't talk about them. Didn't say a word about them running. The famous debate time when Megyn Kelly came out and embarrassed herself and almost ruined her career. Seems she's reviving now, but was when Donald Trump was told by Megyn Kelly, you call women fat pigs and horses, I think, whatever it was said. And Donald Trump paused and said, only Rosie O'Donnell, and the place went absolutely berserk. That was the only time it was brought up, and that was because it was brought up to Donald Trump. These people take up no matter in our minds. We're trying to put them down. Well, first of all, if we were trying to, we wouldn't need to try. I mean, there's plenty of content to do that. These people are on a very low, I don't know how much money they make, but if they each made $100,000 a year, I would think that would be way too much money to be paying them. Obviously, they're making way more than that. But they don't need any help with that. They do it to themselves. They come out with this hatred and anger in their blood every single day for a man that doesn't even care about them. The whole term rent-free, I think, plays to them perhaps better than anybody I can think of in modern times. Every single day, they're just like Jimmy Kimmel. They're talking about Trump. And it's truly, truly sad. And it's truly, truly pathetic. And those women need some help. I want to get to some shout outs here before we get to commercial break. I'm sorry you're going to miss some of you guys, but we'll get to you guys on the other side of the break. Kelly Song, as always, thank you for tuning in. G-Wi-Fi Fall Girl. Alabama in the house. Roll Tide from Sandra. Sandra, I'm a Georgia Tech fan. I'm sorry. I'm probably pissing off a lot of people, but North Carolina in the house. Ireland. We got some more international folks. We love when you guys tune in. Thank you guys so much. Heidi, Don over on Facebook. We appreciate you guys. Teresa, appreciate you guys tuning in. Bill, Marianne, Roger, thank you guys for tuning in over on Facebook. Folks, we're going to take a quick break here. On the other side of this quick break, I want to get to more of this Kimmel cancel culture is what the Democrats are calling it, but it's not quite cancel culture. I call this accountability. We're going to talk about the FCC and their role. We're going to talk about big tech and the role that they played in the 2020 election that seemingly everyone forgot about. We're going to come right back right here on the Great America Show, folks. Please stay with us. We're coming right back.
This past year has been one of the hardest in MyPillow's history. It's because of you that we're making it through. My employees and I want to thank you for your continued support by extending our wholesale prices on classic MyPillows. Get standard classic MyPillows only $14.98. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.98. But it gets even better. Upgrade to a queen size MyPillow for just $18.98. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows $29.98 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of these wholesale prices, including my standard size MyPillow, originally $49.98, now only $14.98. Queens $18.98. Kings only $1 more. Not only that, order $75 or more, ship absolutely free. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Thanks everybody for staying with us here on the Great America Show. We got Maycock, North Carolina in the house. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I want to take a listen in, folks, and take in and check in on what the folks on the left are saying about Jimmy Kimmel being canceled. Let's first maybe go to good old Chuck Schumer. What's Chuck Schumer saying about this? America is meant to be a bastion of free speech. Everybody across the political spectrum should be speaking out to stop what is happening to Jimmy Kimmel. This is about protecting democracy. This must go to court. Well, does somebody want to tell Jimmy Kimmel that these are at-will employees and that each and every one of us could be fired at any given point? Those of you out there who have a job, those of you who are retired, God bless you. We're all jealous of you that you guys are getting Social Security and we probably won't. But does someone want to tell Jimmy Kimmel the difference of working for the federal government and working private sector, and that we can't just go to work every day and say whatever we want? Think about it. You guys all have jobs who do have jobs. You can't just go into work and start spewing and spouting anything you guys want to say, right? You could be fired at any given time for anything and sometimes for nothing. That's how it works here in America. Yet Chuck Schumer somehow thinks it's got to go to court. Well, what about the fiduciary and financial responsibility that Jimmy Kimmel has to make his network money on his show that he's been losing probably tens of millions of dollars a year because his numbers are so bad? Why don't we take a look at what Barrack Hussein Obama's saying? This should be a good one from Barrack Hussein. After years of complaining about cancel culture, the current administration has taken it to a new and dangerous level by routinely threatening regulatory action against media companies unless they muzzle or fire reporters and commentators it doesn't like. Barack Hussein, to you I say, how about the 2020 election? How about the money that was spent in the 2020 election to steal an election? That's without going into the voting machines. That's without going into the mail-in ballots. How about we just talk about the money that big tech spent, Barrack Hussein? Perhaps we talk about that. What was it, $600 billion with a B? $600 billion spent against Donald Trump. I'm sorry, 600 million. $600 million spent against Donald Trump just by big tech. That doesn't include the money that was spent by Joe Biden out of his $1 billion campaign budget against Donald Trump, where he probably got some pretty sweet deals. How about that? Why don't we check in with good old Mark Zuckerberg and ask him what he was told to do for the 2020 election?
They pushed us super hard to take down things that were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. Like, we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
that talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration. I think these people from the Biden administration would call up our team and like scream at them and curse, and it's like,
huh? What about that, Barrack Hussein? Is that not new and dangerous levels? By threatening regulatory action against any company unless they muzzle reporters or commentators it doesn't like? Sort of rich for you to be saying that, Barrack Hussein, because you were on the total opposite side of it when the shoe was on the other foot. Everything was all good when you guys were censoring conservatives, when you guys were demanding social media companies censor anything that the government didn't like, when you were demanding social media's censored anything that perhaps made Biden look senile. Where was the accountability there, Barrack Hussein? Or is there some sort of double standard? Wouldn't perhaps think anything like that, right? It can't be a double standard. Because the 2020 election was free and fair. And I'm not even, folks, as I said, I'm not even talking about the voting machines. I'm not even talking about the mail-in ballots. That's a whole different story. You add that was just the icing on top of the cake. But $600 million spent against Donald Trump? Beyonce getting paid millions of dollars to go do speeches for Kamala Harris? Newspapers, media outlets spending their own money? 60 Minutes going out there with their FCC license to doctor episodes of Kamala Harris to make her seem cognitive? Is that not dangerous to this country? Maybe I'm just being hyperbolic about it, but to me, that seems far worse than perhaps anything the FCC has done or threatened. And the FCC hasn't done anything. Brendan Carr simply just said that these people have FCC carrier license, so they have to abide by the rules of the FCC. These are not new rules. These are rules that have been on the books for years. Nothing new here. Nothing new at all. Yet they want to play by a separate set of rules, as they've continued to do for the last 10 years. It's rules for thee and not the rules for me. These people are truly, truly pathetic. And I think they need help. Barack Hussein Obama should literally go off into the sunset. The only man I know who sits with his legs crossed at the knee should go off into the sunset to never be heard of again. Because he's got more skeletons in the closet, I think, than perhaps any man to ever hold that office of the presidency. Let's take some of your quick questions here before we go to commercial break. There's so much more to get to on the other side of this break, but I want to get to some of your questions. G Wi-Fi, good afternoon from beautiful San Diego. San Diego is one of the most beautiful places I've ever traveled inside the United States. We've got Alabama in the house. Ireland is watching. We appreciate, as I said, you guys joining us. Kimmel should have been fired years ago for slander. Yeah, there's no accountability for these people, or for Fall Girl. There's no accountability. These people have been getting away with this stuff. Literal murder for 10 years. Kimmel is a proven moron. We need new late night hosts like Johnny Carson and Jay Leno to come into the limelight. Yeah, that was back when the day. You know, I didn't even dislike Jon Stewart so much. I thought he did a pretty decent job until he got a little bit of Trump derangement syndrome, but he sort of has a pass for me. He worked very, very hard on 9/11 legislation, making sure the families got paid, and I know how hard he worked it because I watched him with my own eyes as he came to Fox News and did media hits, and I got to meet him a bunch of times, and so him, I get, I give him a little bit of a free pass, and he's not as bad as these folks. Heidi over on Facebook, that's exactly how we felt for Biden for 4 years. Only Biden was senile. Yeah, we sat back and we allowed these people to do this stuff to us. Donna, what did they say? What did you say when Roseanne lost her job? Nobody had anything else to say. It was mum's the word. Is there anyone with an IQ above 35 that actually watches The View? I don't know. That's actually a very good question. We'll have to talk to Mark Mitchell and get some polling on that. I've never watched The View. It pains me to watch these clips. Yeah, it does. And I'm sorry. And that's why I try to keep them to a minimum, as I said, because it just melts our brains, I think, to hear these demonic people. Whoopi is probably the most disgusting and demonic, speaking of demonic, ghoul of them all, full of nothing but hate and evil, pretending to be a human being. Yeah, Bill over on Facebook, you're absolutely right. I think it takes a certain kind of person to act like these people do, because they're just terrible, terrible people. When Democrats are in fear, God is at work. Yeah, and there's, nothing to fear about. If you did nothing wrong, there's nothing to be worried about. Mayock, North Carolina in the house. Shout out to North Carolina. Funny how the very same clowns who have been attacking conservative speech and opinion with bans, stifling, deletion, threats, doxing, are now magically champions of free speech. Truly pathetic. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what my open monologue was that these people have lived by one standard for 10 years. When Donald Trump was censored and canceled, they cheered. When Tucker Carlson was fired and canceled, they cheered. When Lou Dobbs was fired and canceled, they cheered. But these guys were all fired for no reason and canceled for no reason. There is more than cause and more than reason for Jimmy Kimmel to be canceled. And like I said, just the fiduciary responsibility of it all. Brian over on Facebook, Californians for Trump. We are here in the millions. God bless you guys. Yeah, I wish California could bring themselves to turning that place around. I say it all the time here. It's the most beautiful state in this country. And I have no emotional attachment to it. But I've been there dozens and dozens of times, and I'll be there actually next month. Absolutely just beautiful, beautiful place that has been run into the ground because of people voting for the Marxist Dems. We're going to take one more quick break here, folks. On the other side of this quick break, we're going to call out some more Marxist Dems who have perpetrated hate because we've got the evidence they don't usually have. We're going to take up Donald Trump, recent interview he did with Fox News, where he's got some insight into everything that's going on, including what's happening with Vladimir Putin. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. Much, much more to come on the other side of this quick break. The Great America Show continues in moments. Please stay with us.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented My Pillow. My Pillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all three.
When I got My Pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King My Pillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic My Pillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Thanks, everybody, for staying with us here on the Great America Show. I want to turn to someone that has been a thorn in the side of MAGA and just about everybody for the last few years. It's a group called the Lincoln Project. You probably have all heard about them. I mean, they're just a sick group of people led by George Conway and by a man, I believe his last name is Wilson. Rick Wilson is his name, co-founder of the Lincoln Project. They are absolutely in disarray, and I want to share this with you because I think it's absolutely hysterical. Let's see if we can get it up here for you. This was him.
Well, folks, here we go again. Donald Trump's lawyers at the Brito, B-R-I-T-O law firm, have sent us a letter. They're very angry because I did a podcast about Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And I said that MAGA was having a lot of trouble worrying and not thinking about the fact that Trump could be a corrupt and disgusting pedophile. The object of the sentence was, of course, what MAGA was thinking, and MAGA is thinking that. If you don't believe that, spend any time on social media. There's an undercurrent of fear and terror in their minds about what's in the Epstein files and about what Trump and the administration is covering up. So we got this lawyer letter day before I went on vacation, gone for about a week. We thought about it, sat about it, thought we'd respond. And we have now. I'll link it below. It'll be out there today. You'll see it. But I want to say this. Bring it on. Once again, Donald Trump, who has threatened repeatedly to sue us, who's sent the Justice Department after the Lincoln Project before, even Bill Barr, when Trump sent the Justice Department after us in the first administration, said, no, bro, you can't do this.
No, bro.
But here's the thing. I spent 2 years dealing with a nuisance defamation lawsuit for $10 million from Mike Flynn. Okay. He got whipped like a dog. We beat his ass like a rented mule. We crushed him. Because whether you know this or not, Donald, the First Amendment is still a broadly and powerfully effective tool.
I want to talk about this fella for a little bit because he's deranged, and the Lincoln Project is a sick company. And it's what they hide behind. This was from February of 2018, Tablet Mag. The real Lincoln Project scandal. Political grifter Steve Schmidt used homophobia to distract from his own sins, and everyone just let him get away with it. The most destructive, enduring slander against gay men is that they prey on children and boys, on children. It goes on. This is a man who helped them, Steve Schmidt, form the Lincoln Project, and along with the other people. It goes on to say, John Weaver, whose behavior stands out for being the most morally depraved, badge of dishonor belongs to the fellow Lincoln Project co-founder Steve Schmidt, who precisely at the moment of his former colleague's personal and professional ruin, decided to review the calumnium associating gay men with pedophilia. So the Lincoln Project has been embattled for years with their own members, the people that they stand around, and the people that they associate themselves with. Yet they're out here trying to throw bricks when they live in glass houses. Doesn't make much sense, does it? But this is what I guess is to expect from the Marxist Dems. So now they'll have their day in court and I guess have to deal with the consequences. So I want to go back to the FCC and how ABC News is different. I'm sorry to go off on that tangent, but I just had to get that in there. How ABC News and CBS and all these other local networks are different than, per se, Fox News. And I think the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, laid it out perfectly last night on Hannity.
Yeah, broadcasters are different than any other form of communication, including here. We're on cable right now. Fox News doesn't have an FCC license. CNN doesn't. But ABC, CBS, NBC, those broadcast stations do. And with that license comes a unique obligation to operate in the public interest. And over the years, the FCC walked away from enforcing that public interest obligation. I don't think we're better off as a country for it. But look, President Trump ran directly at these legacy broadcast outlets, and he exposed them to these market forces. And a lot of these affiliate groups said, to your point, we're tired of carrying this stuff. Late night shows, something's gone seriously awry there. They went from going for applause, from laugh lines to applause lines. They went from being court jesters that would make fun of everybody in power to being court clerics and enforcing a very narrow political ideology. And Nexstar, as you noted, stood up and said, look, we have the license and we don't want to run this anymore. We don't think it serves the interests of our community. Sinclair did the same thing. So there's more work to go, but I'm very glad to see that America's broadcasters are standing up to serve the interests of their community. We don't just have this progressive foie gras coming out from New York and Hollywood.
They think they could get away with murder, but no longer. That's just how it is, folks. Sorry to let the Marxist Dem know that this is the new reality. Nobody's going to tolerate your lies and hate anymore that you've perpetrated on Americans for 10 years. Accountability is here. Accountability is coming for some people, like J.B. Pritzker, who has pushed his own hate and divisiveness separate from everything else, calling Trump supporters Nazis for years. Although he doesn't remember ever doing that, except we've got the receipts.
That is completely false. I have never called Republicans Nazis.
Everything that he has done has been tearing down constitutional democracy. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened in Nazi Germany. It doesn't take very long to tear apart a constitutional republic. Indeed, the Nazis did it in 53 days. And our democracy is almost as fragile. And we're seeing it right now. The dangers that we saw in Nazi Germany, especially in the earliest days of Nazi Germany, are the dangers that we need to react to now. If we don't, things will get much, much worse. And so we've got to raise alarm bells to everybody. It's a 5-alarm fire, everyone.
So which one is it, JB? Did you say it or did you not? Seems to me you said it multiple times. This is the kind of hate and divide from the left that this country has put up with. Democrats, as you've heard now over the course of the last week or so since Charlie Kirk's assassination, they've been trying to run with there's hate on both sides. And even some rhinos. One of our personal favorites.
The Bible says you mourn with those who mourn and grieve with those who grieve. And I think it's important that in the wake of this national tragedy that we take time simply to grieve the loss of life that occurred here. But I also believe we need to resist the temptation to put America on trial. I mean, absent any additional evidence, one man was responsible for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That man is now in custody, and now comes justice. And while with this rising tide of political violence that we've seen on both sides of the aisle, I understand the deep concern. I don't think we ever want to lose sight of the fact of personal responsibility. and the need for every American to focus on holding those accountable who would perpetrate this violence in the name of politics or for any other reason.
For those of you joining us on audio, that was none other than Mike Pence running with the old, you can't blame one side. This guy acted by himself. No, he wasn't perpetrated by any of the online forums that he visited. He wasn't perpetrated by any of the hate that he read on the internet or the hate that he saw from people like Jimmy Kimmel. No. Nope. Single man is what Mike Pence wants us to believe. Now, President Trump, in an interview with Fox News, says that he thinks a lot of these people on the left are mentally deranged, as I think we've been saying here. Some of them may be on drugs.
And I see people saying things, they're crazy. These people are crazed lunatics, even the way they'll answer. You know, it's like you'll see them, and the things they say are really bad, but they look crazy. They're almost crazed. Maybe they're drugged out. Maybe there's some other problem. But the kind of things you hear, if actually you probably don't put most of them on, but the kind of things you hear are so unbelievable. You wouldn't think, you know, you're a very regular person. I am too. I'm a regular person. Who would make the statements that they make? Did you see the guy the other day run through all the flowers that put down in loving memory of Charlie? This maniac runs through the flowers, kicking them all down and stepping and stomping on them. And fortunately, somebody grabbed him and gave him a rap. But the guy looks like a normal guy. And who would do that? I mean, who would do it?
I think that's a very good question. Who would do that? And I think it's someone who's mentally deranged. Now, you heard President Trump yesterday declaring Antifa a terrorist organization, and they're going to have to start paying the price for the damage they're doing in America. Take a listen.
We're going to do a big thing with respect to Antifa. It's a sick group. I mean, very, very sick group. We have a lot of things. They love burning the American flag. I think it's terrible that they burn the American flag. We're going in and we're saying it incites riots, and therefore you go to jail for 1 year if you burn the American flag. That's different than Antifa, but Antifa burns a lot of American flags. Because, as you know, the free speech got us on the American flag. The courts have ruled free speech, so we're going to go on an incitement of riots. I saw it the other day. I saw it the other day on your show. They have an American flag, and a guy starts burning it, and the people went crazy about it, and they ended up rioting all over the place. So we think that's a reason also, and we're going into the courts with that, which is incitement. Antifa causes tremendous incitement, and the things they say and the things they do are horrible. So we're going to find out.
Well, Antifa, you've been put on notice. You guys are done. No more free reign to burn down Tesla dealerships. No more free reign to burn down police stations as they did during the Summer of Love. That stuff's being put to rest. Nobody's going to tolerate it anymore. And Donald Trump hasn't, quite honestly. We've seen what he's done with California. We've seen what he's done with Washington, D.C. We've seen him sending now the National Guard to Memphis. I guess Chicago, rightfully so, is next. And the house of cards is going to continue to fall for these people. Before we wrap up tonight, I want to get to one more piece of news, and it's another part of the interview that President Trump sat down. A lot of us have been wondering what's going on with Russia and what's going on with the Ukraine war, with President Trump just touching down, I think, moments ago, or touching down a few moments from his trip from the UK. What's going on with Russia and Ukraine, and what's going on with Vladimir Putin? You know, the summit they had, we're expecting to get another one with Zelensky and Putin together, and President Trump, a trilat. President Trump addresses it in the sit-down that he did just before leaving the UK.
I'm disappointed in Putin, I'll tell you. I'm very disappointed in him. I settled 7 wars at least, but I settled 7 wars, all of which they said were not settlable. And I got them done. And, you know, the ones I'm not going to bore you going over a long list, but they were wars that were very tough to settle. Yeah. Even the Congo in Africa, Rwanda, going on for many, many years, almost 10 million people killed, settled, got them all done. And the one I thought was going to be easiest was going to be Russia, Ukraine, because of my relationship with President Putin. So I'm disappointed. If you listen to some people, the ones like in Poland were shot down and they fell into Polish territory, but they shouldn't have been that close anyway. they were drones. And
do you think it was a mistake? The Polish prime minister said it was not a mistake, that they were intentionally into Polish territory.
You know, I can't comment on whether it was a mistake or not. They shouldn't have been there, let's face it. But supposedly they were disabled. Yeah. You know, they disable drones today. That's the great attack on a drone is disabling it, and they fall all over the place. So let's hope it was that. I mean, I'd like to think the better, but I'm very disappointed in that. I thought that would be the easiest of all of them to get done, and it turns out to be the most difficult. The relationship between President Putin and President Zelensky is a horrible one. I mean, you know, it's a lot to do with relationships. They truly dislike each other. I want to use that word rather than a stronger word, but they really do. They hate each other. And we'll see what happens. I think we're going to get a solution. I was unhappy with the European Union, or let's say NATO, when I saw that they were buying oil from Russia. I mean, I'm supposed to be coming in with the United States, and you know, I took a tough stand on, as you know, India, because they were buying oil. And ultimately, if oil prices go down, or if Russia's not selling oil, they have no choice but to settle. And when the European Union nations, or the NATO nations, because they're similar, very similar, when they're buying oil from Russia, that's not the greatest thing. That's not the deal. And I let it be known, and people were surprised to hear that, but they were doing it quietly and slyly. And you can't do that. You know, if you're going to win, you're going to have to not buy oil from Russia. And but we're going to see how it turns out. I hope it turns out well. You know, it doesn't affect us because, like, we have a big ocean in between, but you're losing millions of people, and they're mostly soldiers, Russian soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers. Last week, almost 8,000 soldiers were killed in this ridiculous war. 8,000 people. And again, I want to see if I can get it done. It's tougher than I thought, but I've done a lot of tough things. It's so interesting. I settled wars that were absolutely, there was no chance of getting. We're going on for 31. One was 31 years, one was 34 years, one was 36 years. Going on for years and years, I got it done. This is one that should be settled. It should be settled.
So there you have it, folks, the update on what's going on with Russia. And if that thing could be settled, who knows? Hopefully it can. If anyone can do it, it's President Trump. If President Trump can't do it, you get the point. That's all for us tonight, folks. We appreciate you joining us on this live edition of the Great America Show. We're being told President Trump is over Maryland right now, about to land. Kelly Song is outside, waving hello to him. That's all for us tonight, folks. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the Great America Show, where our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Same time, same place tomorrow. Until then, folks, may God bless you all. May God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.